Hey, if you guys have to leave during this at all, the packets are right over here on where the hand sanitizer is. Okay? Alright, so today I'm going to talk about sleep and a little recovery. Alright? The main thing with sleep quality for you guys, okay? So on a normal night, when you guys are sleeping, try to keep your room as dark as possible. So like computer monitors or bright clock or anything, try to turn those off before you go to bed. Okay? And then for for being quiet, if somebody's being loud, say, go over there, talk to them, and come in and say, can you guys quiet down so you have a quiet sleep. Okay? Also, make sure that your guys' room is as cool as possible. So there's been a study said that 65 degrees is probably the best sleeping environment to sleep in. Okay? So 65 degrees, yeah, it seems cold, but that's what they say. The cooler environment, the better. Okay, when it's warm, you guys don't sleep as well. Okay? Try to get into a bedtime routine. Alright? So try to get to bed as often as possible at the same time during the week and on the weekend. Okay? So if you go to bed at 9:30, 10:30 during the week, okay, try to do the same thing during the weekend. Okay? If you can, if possible. Alright? Trying to get 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night. Okay? I know it's hard. If you went to bed at 10:30 last night, you woke up at 6:30 today, okay, you got 8 hours of sleep. Okay? Anything past that or anything below that, isn't the best thing for you. So which I'll go over here a little bit. There was a study done on a sleep study here. Okay? So they did a study on a 4-hour sleep group, a 6-hour sleep group, and an 8-hour sleep group. Okay? And then they took them to their daily living for college. Okay? So for the 4-hour sleep group, it was 46%, and the 6-hour sleep group it was 23% were unable to stay awake during taking a test after 2 weeks of doing the study. Okay? The 8-hour sleep group that was taking the test was able to stay up during the test after 2 weeks of having that much sleep. And they were able to, their mind was processing right, and they were able to make it from that day right, in the right way. So, that's the study on that, okay? A couple things here. So something to think about the next time you stay up all night, all right? When deprived of sleep, the body metabolizes glucose less effectively, meaning energy and muscle use is less, okay? Number 2, levels of stress were higher in periods of deprived sleep. So these two products cause memory impairment, okay, age-related resistances, and athletic recovery. Alright? So what I'm saying is just try, going back to the 8 or 9 hours of sleep, try to get that in. Alright, so the one thing, I want to bring a story up. When I was in college, one of the coaches came up to me and he said, what I want you to do, if you want to improve your summer training, okay, and you want to get the right amount of sleep, is to take a candlestick, okay? So take a tall candlestick here, and anytime, say that you go to bed at 10:30, okay, and you've got to wake up at 6:30. That's your 8 hours of sleep. Anytime that you go out past 10:30, start that candle, okay, and let it burn until you get back. So if you get back at, midnight, you have an hour and a half of that candle burning. Okay, so make sure if you get through that whole summer and it is completely burned, then you didn't take the right recovery process, your sleep process. So it's just an idea that you guys can take. Down the road next summer. So, the next thing, I want to tell you guys, I have a study that I got from Monica, the nutritionist. Okay? It's extended sleep improves the athletic performance of collegiate basketball players. Alright, so they did a study on all the other sports too. This is just on a basketball team from Stanford. Alright? So I'm going to read this to you guys. So they did a sleep study that shows that sleep extension is beneficial to athletic performance, reaction time, fatigue, and mood in collegiate basketball players. Okay? The study involved 11 healthy students on the Stanford University men's varsity basketball team and was conducted during 2 basketball seasons from 2005 to 2008. Participants had a mean average of 19 years old and an average height of 6 feet and 4 inches. 8 were guards, 2 were forwards, and 1 was center. Okay? So, what they did is they did baseline. So they ran baseline, okay, and then took the time. So they had the group that slept less than 6 hours of sleep in 4 to 5 weeks. So they did that test first. So they had the first group of those 11 people had 6 hours of sleep, did the study, and their time from baseline to baseline was 16.2. Okay? So the next 4 to 5 weeks, what they did was have them get more than 8 hours of sleep. So they had about 8.5 for the average of sleep. Okay? At that time, so they had the 16.2 with the 6 hours of sleep. After having 8 hours of sleep, their time increased to 15.5. Okay? So take that into consideration. So when you guys are, 2 weeks out from a game or a match or anything like that, think about that the normal routine that you're going through. If you've got 6 hours of sleep up to that, 2-week process before you go into a match or a game, there's going to be something that affects you in the game. Okay? So the other study that they did, all right? So they had the participants shoot 10 free throws from 15 feet, okay? Making an average of 7.9 at the baseline. Okay? That was with the 6 hours of sleep. After, doing the 8-hour one, it was 8.8. Okay, so they went from 7.9 to 8.8 on the average. Okay? So, and then they took 15 3-point field goals and made an average of 10.2 with the 6 hours of sleep, and after 8 hours of sleep, it was 11.6 for the average. Okay, so take that into consideration when you guys are sleeping and then processing for the game or the match. Okay? So what I'm saying is, you might say, hey, you know what, we got a game in 48 hours and I'm, 92 hours away from the game. I can go to bed at midnight this time. It all affects you, okay, in that time. Right? So it affects you all the way back to 4 or 5 weeks or 2 weeks, okay? So don't just say, oh, I'm going to start sleeping, 4 days out from the match for the game. So just remember, get your 8 or 9 hours of sleep.
What about naps?
Now, another thing, okay, with your naps. If you can, during the day, you get like 6 hours of sleep that night, and you've got class and you've got a couple hours to spare, try to get your nap in as soon as possible, like, give it an hour and a half to a 2-hour nap before you have to go to class again. The naps are great. Okay? Any other questions?
Guys, over the summer we've asked you guys and talked to you guys about a lot of different things in terms of your recovery. So your nutrition obviously has been a focal point. We talked about some ice, and we do a lot of the recovery stuff that we do every day, the FMS stretching, the foam rolling, the sticks, all that stuff is to help with your recovery. And then on top of that, sleep is a big component, okay? And the main thing to remember about your sleep is try to get 8 hours uninterrupted, okay? And try to be consistent with when you go to sleep at night. So it doesn't do you well if you have procrastinated on an exam and pull an all-nighter and then get 13 hours of sleep the next day. Okay, it's better to get 8 and 8 versus to do that type of stuff to yourself. Okay, and your performance in the classroom, physically, will always be better. Okay, this is our last